This is TWiT.
What we got is we've got, well, actually, it's you that I really want to hear your thoughts about the OnePlus 5T, because I used it here and there over the Thanksgiving holiday. So I will kind of spout out thoughts here and there. So I use this as a secondary phone. Jason uses this more as a primary phone. So that's why I feel like I really want to hear what Jason had to say. But for me, I really liked the camera, first of all, which I know we're gonna get into. That's kind of like a meaty section. But besides that, Jason was right. The face unlock is freaking impeccable. It was so freaking impeccable that I actually tried to entertain my cousins with the technology of the face unlock at Thanksgiving on the OnePlus 5T. I don't really think they understood why I was so excited for how quickly it worked, but I was that impressed. I will say, however, that it took a while for the face unlock to really recognize me. It didn't unlock as quickly after I put on the dark lipstick, because I had originally taken the photo like with no makeup on. And so I thought that was kind of interesting that there was like a slight delay. So at Thanksgiving, it was not always like quick on the money. Sometimes it would fail if the light wasn't very good because my lipstick was so dark. And so I would have to unlock it with the fingerprint. Or I guess actually I'd have to unlock it with a pattern unlock, because that was the way it would default. So that was one thing.
And by the way, I'll just jump in there. I was getting into my car last night. It was pitch black outside. Well, probably not pitch black, but it was pretty darn dark outside. I think there was a street light, a ways down. So it's not like there was much light seeping into the car at all. And face unlock still totally worked. And I was really surprised. Like, wow. I wouldn't imagine that the front-facing camera would be accurate or good enough to be able to pick that up with such low amount of light coming in. So I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing, because if it's just like, whatever, sure, it works. We get a silhouette of your head and that looks right. Sure, you're in. I doubt it's doing that, but it worked when I didn't think it was going to work. I thought that was pretty impressive.
It sounded like it's not doing that, because if it had it had to like calculate for a second when I had the darker like lipstick on. I'm assuming it I contoured differently or something in however it did it. I don't know. I'm just making inferences. But beyond the face unlock, the battery life on this thing is pretty awesome. And I have to say, like, living with the Pixel 2, granted it's the smaller one and it's a smaller phone than the OnePlus 5T, but I am not like super satisfied with the battery life on it. But with the battery life on the OnePlus 5T, I left it on the TV stand for about 2 days, and I came back to it and it still had 82% of its battery life. So it just sat there quietly. I really like how energy efficient it is.
Yeah, really energy efficient. And obviously, part of that, and we talked about that a little bit last week, is, hi, everybody tweeting me suddenly, is the fact that, that the display, even though it's a larger display than the last year's model, is a 1080p display, which I think is totally fine. Like,
and I can't tell the difference.
Nah.
I can't tell the difference between it and the Note 8. I was kind of using them to play a little bit in the backyard today, and I don't notice any difference. They're still both very like nicely saturated screens. The default wallpaper that comes on this, I have a different wallpaper that's just as neon, but I love looking at it on the phone. And the other thing I have to say is I am reminded once again why I enjoyed the bigger screen, because playing Animal Crossing, the new one for mobile on this phone, is actually a lot easier because I have more traction room for my finger because of the bigger display. So I kind of remember now why you might want that bigger display. However, the phone, and this is just kind of like a benchmark that I use, like a personal anecdotal benchmark, but the phone is really hard to get out of my purse. So it's a lot easier with a smaller phone. This one, because of its size, tends to get like stuck in a lot of stuff, which is like, Flo, why are you putting so much stuff in? But I just feel like it's worth noting just for people who might be like me and do shove a lot of things into a purse. Just sometimes just because it's bigger doesn't mean it's necessarily like easier to find.
On to add to the bigger kind of comment there, not I mean I haven't got to play with the OnePlus 5T, although I'm very excited to. Recently, I've been bouncing between the Moto X2 Force and my Google Pixel 1. And so the past couple, last week into the Thanksgiving holiday, I was on the Pixel and going from the bigger to the smaller. And remember, Jason, I've always been pro smaller, right? Like I like a small, yep. I don't like the huge. I gotta admit, Google Pixel 1 sure felt tiny in my hand, and I was having some trouble typing, and I was like, why is this so small? And I was missing the bigger form factor with the Moto X2, so much so that I switched back to it over the weekend, mainly to play with the Echo thing, which we're gonna talk about next. But Flo, the bigger versus smaller was very top of mind for me recently. So
yeah,
I can't believe I'm going pro bigger, because I used to be staunchly against it. So.
Well, they're making apps these days so that you really kind of benefit from having a slightly larger screen in your pocket. Yeah, so it's true. Like you might as well get a phone that takes advantage of that. But then it's like, well, so the OnePlus 5T, I'm just going to hold up here on my little webcam for you. I have the pretty red case that came in the press box. It's super nice and super soft, and I love the default OnePlus cases. And quite honestly, I wonder why Google doesn't do the same with its cases. Here I have the fabric case for the Pixel 2. So here's how they are, kind of comparison in size. If you let me hold it above the lower third so you can kind of see that. Yeah, it's a bit bigger, but it's not like that much bigger. And the fact that it's thin, correct me if I'm wrong, Jason, but I believe it's thinner than the Pixel 2 XL. Possibly.
Good question. I wish I had my Pixel 2 XL. I don't know, but
it's a thin and light phone, I'll just say.
They're pretty comparable if memory serves.
Yeah.
In that regard.
So Jason, I want to hear your thoughts and also hear your camera experience.
Yeah. So this has been, I've been using it as my daily driver probably now for a little more than a week. Anyways, and let me tell you, it's really hard to pull myself away from the Pixel 2. Like, whatever. It is what it is. It's hard to pull yourself away from your phone and get interested in playing with another device when you finally get settled in on your device. Anyways, you get over it. I got over it. What were you gonna say?
I was gonna add to that and say that to what you were saying. Just for those of you wondering out there, if you really rely on Google Assistant for like commands, I did a lot of my smart home commands from the OnePlus 5T from the Google Assistant app and just by long pressing the home button, and it worked just as fine. So I didn't have problems with that, just as an aside.
But to also re-point out that what was brought up on last week's show, if you want to do it with the screen off and your device locked, you can't do that with the 5T. Yes. You can do that on the Pixel. And actually, the person who sent in that question sent me a little bit of an email, little bit of a scathing email afterwards, being like, man, it didn't sound like you guys took the question seriously. The reason I really want this is because when I'm driving, I don't want to have to pick up my phone, and this is a big issue. Like, more phones should do this, and I hear you on that one. But apparently not all phones do that, and there might be a number of reasons why. There might be some sort of hardware inside that allows for some phones to do that more efficiently, like based on the processing power required to keep it alert at that point. Maybe Pixel's doing some different things to make that possible. There are third-party device manufacturers who are also building that support into their devices. So you're right, we didn't get a great answer as far as why that wasn't put into the 5 and the 5T, but other than that, it just isn't. So there are benefits there with the Pixel over this. But as far as this phone is concerned, I feel like it really continues OnePlus's tradition, of high-quality device, affordable price. The device feels really nice in daily use. I really like... Even though I know that this means that, with nothing extending beyond the screen on the front, it means if this lands face down, it's more likely to shatter or whatever. But it's a nice design touch to have the corners kind of curved slightly. It's not like a true edge display, but you get this like rounding that's kind of hard to show off on the screen around all of the edges on the device, and that helps to kind of elevate the design aesthetic of the phone. which I think is pretty great. Let's see here. The display is awesome. It's as sharp as it really needs to be. We've kind of already talked a little bit about that. I feel like it's a good trade-off for what you get in battery. I had excellent battery life on this throughout the week, and actually, like, I didn't even charge it yesterday. I didn't put it on a charger last night, and I mean, I'm still doing okay today. So I used it yesterday and today, basically, which maybe this just wasn't these weren't two big smartphone use days for me, but I was able to do it. I still love the inclusion of the Switch, which is becoming kind of a staple. Kind of hard to see here. A staple of OnePlus devices to have this switch to toggle between different modes versus ringer on versus the middle mode, which I'm trying to do sideways here, which kind of puts it into like a vibrate or a do not disturb mode, up to the top, which is fully silent. And nice to have that switch, and they keep doing that. I'm happy that they do. But let's see here. Dash charging, awesome, super fast. I love that they moved the fingerprint sensor onto the back, and the face unlock, made it so that I only really have to use this here and there. I don't have to rely on the fingerprint sensor. So if you feel comfortable using face unlock, you're going to get a good experience on the 5T. Pretty pleasantly surprised there. But yeah, we should definitely talk about the camera, because I think in the past with the 5, the camera was a very big selling point for this price category. Really good, pictures. Maybe it's hard to compare the pictures that you get out of the 5 and the 5T to phones like the Pixel or the Galaxy S8 series cameras, or the iPhone 8 or 10, 8 Plus or 10 pictures. But I have been pretty pleased with the pictures that I've gotten out of the 5T. Took a lot of outdoor shots. Really like that. You see the bird out there in the water a little bit. If you start to zoom in, you see a little bit of kind of I don't know, kind of a milky quality. I don't know if you see it in the hair right there, where the pixelation kind of gets milky.
Yeah. I saw that in my photos as well.
So you get a little bit of that kind of smacks of smartphone photography, in my opinion. But when you're fully zoomed out, and for the most part, the pictures that I got, I was really happy with. I'm not always super happy with what I get out of the portrait mode shots. Mm-hmm. And this is a good example. My daughter is in focus, and everything around her is kind of out of focus, except for that fence and car in the back right area that is totally in focus. If you, I don't know.
Oh yeah, it's distracting. It's distracting my eye.
Once you notice it, it's hard to kind of unsee it.
Yeah.
That picture cracks me up.
Whoa, that's crazy.
But anyway, yeah, see how it's like totally sharp back there. So I got weird little issues like that. Sometimes it works, sometimes it didn't. But it's nice to have, and when it does work, great. Just don't expect it to work every time. And this is what my dog ate for Thanksgiving. So little bonus there. So that's what I thought. I think all in all, pretty happy with the camera. It's not as amazing as some of the premium cameras out there, but for this price category, I think it's awesome.
I brought a couple comparison shots. We can just jump through them real quick if you want. Yeah. Of the OnePlus 5T.
Let's do
Pixel
that.
2. Yeah. Okay. So that's just a photo that taken with the 5T. So
nice hat and vest.
There's a story behind that.
I'm sure.
That's just like indoor. I didn't get much time with it indoors. Yeah. So actually, I can't speak to its low light performance as well as I can during daylight. But here, this is in the backyard. So this first one is a Note 8. It's a shot with a Note 8. Mm-hmm. This one is shot with the OnePlus 5T.
Okay.
And then there's a third one that is shot with the Pixel 2. And all three of them, just worth noting, were all blown out.
Ah, interesting.
Yeah, they all were like blown out in the background.
Okay, like up on the top of the wood area right up there?
And you can't see very well on this particular screen, but there's more of a blue tint to like the Pixel 2 photos.
I see it.
Whereas on the OnePlus, when you zoom in like to the open mouth area where all like the the dirt vomit is coming out, I found it to be just as clear as the Pixel 2. So that was pretty pleasing, even though I did see some of that. Yeah, I did see some of that milky effect, but like you can tell much better. You can distinguish between like sort of particles in there versus like the Note 8.
Yeah. Nice. It's actually a really, really good kind of source image, you know, for lighting and detail and stuff.
And actually, Victor, if you want to go to the last 2 photos, I can just show you a selfie with it. So this is just to show like how it zooms up close.
Oh yeah, the zoom.
You do the double zoom. So this is a regular selfie. Sorry, Miss Fain over here. But I just want to show you what it looks like in beauty mode. So go to the last one. It's really too much. I just want to say.
Does it give you controls to like lessen it?
Yes,
or is
and
it
this
just
is, I think this is at max, which is just like insane.
Yeah.
So just anybody out there, because I see you people using beauty mode, okay? I see you out there. So there's your sample.
Oh, beauty mode. It just continues to exist, doesn't it?
Listen, I got to try it. I do it so that you don't have to.
Good.
Okay?
You're doing the hard work so
because
that no one
I
else
would
has
love
to.
Airbrush, okay? You know, this is
we can't all
life.
afford a design airbrush team. Cool. So that's the OnePlus 5T. I think it's a great phone, great for the price, and a worthy upgrade to the 5, and not that much more than what the 5 cost. You could do a whole lot worse than buying this phone, and that's I think selling it short. I think it's a great device for its price. What would be your final word on this?
I think if you want something that's not a Google experience and not a Samsung experience, I think the OnePlus 5T is another it's a good alternative experience to consider. But again, like Jason mentioned, you're giving up some things. You're giving up some of that Google hugging, you know, that Google circle around your life, which maybe to some people sounds much more appealing.
Yeah. Yeah, there are a lot of people that are happy to do that.
And it's $500.
Right.
Even on Black Friday, some of the best phones, you know, still weren't down to $500. So
yeah, totally.